All right, so today we are diving into a story about Marta.
Oh, this one is interesting. Really gets you thinking.
It does, it does. And, it's all about truth, right? Like, what happens when what you think you know gets turned upside down?
Yeah.
Marta's world, it's like this perfect paradise on the surface. Everything seems, pretty ideal, but
But there's this catch. There's always a catch.
exactly, this nagging feeling that something's just off, like an off-key note in a song that you can't quite, you
Yeah.
just can't ignore it.
And that's where the story really resonated with me. This idea that we can kind of sense those off-key notes in our own lives, right? Those moments where you just get this gut feeling. But then the question becomes, what do you do with it?
Right, right. Do you just kind of smooth it over,
Uh-huh.
pretend it's not there?
Yeah.
Because facing it, that can be scary.
Absolutely. It's like our brains, they kind of prefer things to make sense, even if the sense they make is, maybe not entirely accurate. It's
Yeah.
comfortable, safe.
It's interesting, though, because Marta, she doesn't really have that option to just ignore it. She starts having these really vivid dreams, almost like her subconscious is trying to break through, you know what I mean? Sending her messages.
It's like that itch for truth that you just can't scratch. And it makes you wonder, why are we wired that way? Like, is there something inherently human about needing to seek out truth, even when it's uncomfortable?
That's a great question. And, I was thinking about that part of the story, and it made me think about all those figures from history. The ones who dared to challenge the accepted narratives.
People like, oh, who's a good example? Galileo,
Yes, exactly. Or,
Darwin, challenging what everyone believed about, well, everything, risking their reputations, their freedom, all for the sake of uncovering something true.
and that takes some serious courage, right? Because you never know what you're going to find. Which brings us to this door in the story.
Ah, yes, the door. So symbolic.
It's so symbolic. It represents that choice point, that moment where you have to decide if you're going to step into the unknown, even if it means risking everything.
Because let's be honest, sometimes what's on the other side of those metaphorical doors, well, it's not always pretty.
It can be downright messy. Like in Marta's case, right? She opens this door expecting, I don't know, maybe she thought she was going to find some deeper meaning, some kind of confirmation of all those off-key feelings.
It's like we often think that if we just knew the truth, everything would click into place. But sometimes the truth can be,
Disappointing.
to put it mildly. And that's what happens to Marta. She finds this wasteland, this emptiness that makes her question everything she thought she knew. Talk about disillusioning.
It's heavy stuff to realize that maybe the world isn't as simple, as beautiful as we want it to be. But, and I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, it's those moments of disillusionment that can actually be the most,
Well,
transformative.
absolutely, because it's in those moments when everything's kind of falling apart that we have the opportunity to rebuild, to create something new, something more authentic.
And that's where I think Marta's story offers this really powerful message of resilience. Because even though she's faced with this really harsh reality, she doesn't give up. She doesn't let it break her.
It's like she realizes that even though the truth might hurt, it also sets you free. Free to choose, right?
Yes, free to choose how you're going to move forward, how you're going to find meaning in the midst of the chaos. So I guess the question for our listeners today is this. If you are Marta, standing in front of that door, knowing that what you found on the other side might shake your world, would you open it?
Would you choose knowledge, even if it meant losing that sense of comfortable ignorance?
It's a question worth pondering.